And here we are. We are back. Episode what? 4, 5, 6, 5 of the Eric Crocker show. And we're talking all things draft. I really want to get into the NFL draft value. 49er fans, wants versus needs. What's realistic? Where the 49ers at with their roster? How do they address this? How do they address mid-round picks? How they got lucky with certain guys like Hufunga and George Kittle? You just keep swinging. We're just going to talk about all of that and more. But first, I definitely want to thank you all for joining me on this beautiful morning, at least this beautiful morning here in Southeast Arkansas. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody that already hit the like button before I even went live. I saw that. I appreciate that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe. We're diving deep into the draft part of things now. And hopefully getting away a little bit from the quarterback position. It's going to be the same conversation all off season. And some of it's fun, but some of it's just like, all right, I'm kind of over this. All right. Shout out to the Warriors last night. Big win. And I actually put out there about Draymond Green, right? I tweeted that. As a matter of fact, let me pull up my actual tweet just so I don't misword anything that I said. All right, but there are a lot of people like, huh? Like, Croc, what are you okay? Because they're so used to me trolling Warrior fans, but uh, look, I like to keep it real. I like to keep it real. So here's what I had to say about Draymond Green. I've grown to really like watching Draymond Green play basketball. And a lot of people are kind of confused by that. And here's the thing about Draymond. Now, I also had somebody in there, and I didn't respond to a whole lot of stuff, but I did respond to one thing. And it was someone saying, oh, well, he had an off night. His shooting was terrible. I'm like, anything that you get from Draymond Green scoring wise is a bonus. That is not where his value is. All right, so let's talk about Draymond Green's value real quick, and then we're going to talk about the value of the NFL draft. See how I did that? All right, but Draymond Green, my son plays basketball and he can score, right? And I always tell him, like, bro, I don't care if you scored 15 points. I don't care if you scored 17 points. Like, are you doing the other things? Are you boxing out? Are you being scrappy? Are you getting rebounds? Are you forcing turnovers? Uh, you know, are you setting your teammates up for them to succeed? Are you setting your teammates up for them to score? How are you doing playing defense? Can you guard the other team's best player? Can you guard multiple positions? So when I watch a guy like Draymond Green and I see what he does day in and day out, night in, night out, game in, game out, like, he does all those things that I value more than just scoring. Anybody can score. I just watched, uh, gosh, Ja Morant scored 40 something on the Lakers. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, you scored 40 points. Who cares? Ja, did you do the other things that help contribute to winning? And the answer is no. That's why you lost. You watch Draymond Green and some of the things he does, especially down the stretch, poking the ball away multiple times from defenders, playing defense. He's taking charges. He's getting rebounds. He's playing big. He's only like 6'6", guarding guys that's 4, 5, 6 inches taller than him or outweigh him, and it does not matter. So I love that, bro. I love that. I love the way he plays. I love his attitude. I know we talked about him kind of towing that line and a lot of times going over it, but I like that because you need that. Who's that guy for the 49ers? Who's that line stepper for the 49ers? Who's that guy who's going to tote that line and maybe even go a little bit over? They do have a guy. I'm going to let y'all guess real quick. Anybody in the chat want to guess? Who is that line stepper for the San Francisco 49ers? Who is that line stepper? I'm going to see if we get some answers in here. But I know we were away. My Lakers kicked the Memphis Grizzlies' ass. I know y'all don't care too much about that. But yes, G Crackhawk. Got it. Look at that first try. I was waiting for the first response, and we already got it. It is not Fred Warner. Fred kind of a little bit. Jimmy Ward a little bit. But no, it ain't Fred. It ain't Jimmy Ward. It's goddamn Greenlaw. And a lot of y'all got it right here. Dre Greenlaw is that line stepper for the 49ers. And there's a lot of things that you see, and it's like, a little knucklehead type stuff, right? Grab a guy by the face mask when you don't really need to. Maybe hit a guy late, right? Push a guy late out of bounds. Like all these little things that Greenlaw does, but he's that line stepper. And I feel like you need those guys. You need the Greenlaws on your defense. Now, the other guys, they're going to get scrappy. They're going to get in there. They're going to get dirty, right? I love the way Fred Warner plays. I love the way Brandon Ayuk plays. Awesome. But when it comes to towing that line, and a lot of times maybe going a little bit too far, oh, it's Dre Greenlaw. is Dre Greenlaw. And when I watch Dre Mon Green, all right, when I watch him, I appreciate those things because my guy Malik, shout out to my guy Malik, he always talks to his son about certain things, in our kids that we coach as well. There's certain things you can control, some things you can't, right? Like if I'm not 6'3", 215 pounds, running the 4.3, like I can't control that I'm not that, right? My max speed was what my max speed was gonna be all the time. But some things that you can control, your effort and just that energy that you bring, no matter the score. And Draymond Green exemplifies that. So I appreciate Draymond Green. I love the way he plays. Obviously, I like when the Warriors lose. I don't root against them, but I do like when they lose just so that I can tweet Warrior fans. But as far as really liking how they play as a team and really how Draymond Green plays, it's like, man, you need those guys. You need those Draymond Greens. I know. Hey, G Crackhawk said it must be something in them greens. It must be something in the Dre's and the greens. All right. See how we did that? Dre Green Law, Draymond Green. All right, you know what I'm saying? All right. But anyways, we didn't come in here to talk about that. What are we coming here to talk about, man? We came in here to talk about the NFL draft. And I got to thinking, right? I got a phone call and I have a kid out here that I'm training. He's gonna be on the team. Whether he gets drafted or maybe undrafted free agent, he will be on the team 100% come Sunday. And his dad had asked me because someone had mocked him to the 49ers. And he's like, man, if the 49ers were to draft him, or let's say, reach out and potentially sign him, would that be a good place? And I got to thinking about where the 49ers are at the cornerback position. And again, he's out here right now. I'm training him. We just hit the weights. A little bit later, we got our speed work, and then we got our field work. Got a bunch of other college kids coming. All right, so we're gonna do the damn thing. But uh, when I started thinking, his dad asked me, would the 49ers be a good spot for my son if he were to like sign there? Would he have a legit opportunity to either make the roster or practice squad? And that's one thing that John like when you're kind of a bottom of the roster guy, obviously you want to make the roster, but man, can I just make practice squad? Because I can potentially work my way up from there. And you want to go to a situation that's great for you. And sometimes it's even more beneficial to be undrafted as opposed to being drafted sixth or seventh round. All right, because sixth, seventh round, you got no say so on where you go. Undrafted, you get to pick the best situation for you. Now, you might take a little hit on the guaranteed money or the signing bonus, but it's the best situation for you. You'll have several options. So his dad asked me this, and I got to thinking. I'm like, well, a lot of us, and we've talked about it a lot on here, a lot of us have talked about the 49ers drafting the cornerback. And a lot of y'all have wanted me to look into cornerbacks. We've looked in a lot on cornerbacks on Locked On 49ers. And I'm thinking, 49ers ain't drafting a cornerback, or at least high. And this is just my thoughts on how I would do it and just the value of it. And we'll get into some of the value of some of these picks, right? When I started thinking about them, I'm like, 49ers have their CB1, right? That's Travarius Ward. When you need somebody to go out there, he plays well, you pay him at a high level. He can go, he can shadow guys. When you need him to go guard DK Metcalf for an entire game, he did that multiple times extremely well. When you needed him to go guard Drake London, who had a really good rookie year, okay, that's the guy you put on those guys. So essentially, you're looking for someone to start opposite Travarius Ward. Like, who's going to be that other corner? And right now, we see a guy by the name of Diamador Lenore. So Lenore's name is going to come up a lot here. This is no shade or disrespect towards Diamador Lenore, but Lenore was drafted mid to late rounds, right? He drafted day 3. I want to say maybe a 5th round pick. And the other guy that drafted, I want to say in that same draft, was Ambry Thomas. And everyone right now is clamoring for the 49ers to draft a cornerback in the 3rd round. You got to go need. You got to go need. You got to go get a guy. And I feel like 49ers have kind of set them up to where it's like, we don't have to go need at the cornerback position. Matter of fact, why are we going to draft for cornerback when, for the most part, those corners that you'll draft in that range are really more so what you already have? They're always missing a little something. A lot of times it's a guy that is like, Can we improve over it? Now, every once in a while, you do strike gold. You get Emmanuel Mosley. Every once in a while, you do get Travarius Ward, who was an undrafted rookie free agent, actually signed by the Dallas Cowboys. They let him go. Kansas City Chiefs picked him up. Travarius Ward went on to be really good with Kansas City and obviously make a lot of money with the 49ers, play well last year. All right. But every once in a while, you get one of those guys. Or maybe once in a while, you get a George Kittle or a Talanoa Hufanga, right? But more times than not, they're kind of just guys. And what I mean by that, and again, no disrespect, but when you look at Diamador Lenore, all of y'all want to push Lenore out of there. You want someone to come in and start over Diamador Lenore. And I'm here to tell you, it is really hard to find that guy in the shoot. I'm about to say third round. It technically is the third round, but we're talking about the 99th overall pick. That's like the comp pick third round. That might as well, that's closer to being the fourth round pick than there's a third. So you guys are trying to find, oh yeah, let's draft a corner in essentially the fourth round to come in and just play over Lenore day one. And more times than not, that's not really what happens. So okay, you can draft somebody, and I guess you could say, you know what, we're going to draft this guy to compete against a Diamador Lenore, Ambry Thomas, Isaiah Oliver. I know it sounds like he's signed to play more nickel, but he also has value on the outside as well. Did I mention Samuel Womack? He's a guy who got playing time on the outside as well as the nickel. So for the most part, the guys that you would draft in the third round, like you have those guys on your roster right now. You got them. You got your Samuel Womack. You got your Diamador Lenore. You got your Ambry Thomas. You got those type of guys. With the 49ers, what y'all really want them to do is y'all want the 49ers to draft a corner round one. Right? Like that's the big dogs. That's the different. That's the guy that's a little bit more well-rounded. And again, nothing is for sure. But what you're looking for, because right now y'all want a starter opposite Travarius Ward. You want that first round guy. And 49ers ain't picking to pick 99. Say that out loud. There are 98 picks before the 49ers pick once. 98. And then y'all want that guy to come in and be expected to be a starter. I think that's extremely difficult. And I don't know if the 49ers are going to draft corner as high as I think a lot of fans. So this show is called 49ers fans draft wants versus needs. And I think we want that corner, but I don't know if a corner at the tail end of the third round, essentially the fourth round, is a need for your San Francisco 49ers. Y'all let me know if I'm right or wrong or not. Am I tripping with the way I'm viewing that? Then we're going to talk about value as well. But I see Christian Gonzalez for after IU trade. I mean, so now you're telling me you trade Brandon Ayuk, you get a top 15 pick somehow, and there is value in that. Brandon Ayuk coming off of a 1,000-yard season as the fourth option. All right, has multiple years left on his contract, right? So he got year 4 and 5th year option. There is a scenario where because of that, you can get a first round pick for him, and depending on how high the team is picking, I don't know, right? But there's a scenario where you get a top 15 pick for him from a team, and okay, you see Christian Gonzalez there, boom, now that makes sense. That makes sense. But most likely that ain't gonna happen. I mean, again, it can. It can. I would have never in a million years thought the 49ers would have traded DeForest Buckner. Not only did they trade DeForest Buckner, but they got 13th overall pick. Traded back 14th overall pick. All right. But never in a million years would I thought that happened. So can you trade Brandon Ayuk? Potentially. If somebody came, and y'all can answer this question right now. Let me look at the draft order. All right. Because I want to know, I'm going to try to see where the landing spot would be for like a Brandon Ayuk. Looking at the boom. All right, let's look at this draft order right now and kind of where would Brandon Ayuk potentially land. So I'd say maybe Houston Texans, right? Houston Texans, they have not only the number 2 overall pick, but they also have the number 12 overall pick. So could they say, you know what, we got 2 picks. We really don't got that guy. We really don't got that receiver. Especially they just traded away Brandon Cooks. They traded Brandon Cooks to the Dallas Cowboys. So who the hell are the Houston Texans receivers. So if they draft a quarterback at number 2, who is it? Now maybe they wait and see, can we get Jackson Smith and Jigma? Because you probably go Jackson Smith and Jigma over Brandon Ayuk. Any of these other guys, I would probably rather have Brandon Ayuk if we're talking about like that high of a pick. So could they essentially trade the number 12 overall pick to the 49ers for Brandon Ayuk? And I think they can. I think they can. Now again, I put it as a 20% chance that happens. But if you do that, and then there is a corner that you really like, because I like the kid out of Illinois. I like now you're talking. Okay. Now you're talking. But third round, we want the corner. I don't know if the need is a corner. The need is a corner in the sense of finding a starter, but I don't know if you find that guy. Again, you got to strike gold. You have to strike gold. But more times than not, the guy that you draft at pick 99 or 102 or wherever the hell they're picking right there is more DeAndre Lenore, Samuel Womack, Ambry Thomas. It is more of that. It is more of that. All right, so interesting. I just kind of wanted to view that, and I want to talk a little bit about some of the kind of how I value things. There are certain players that I might miss out on just because of how I value the position, and this is why Eric Crocker probably is not a GM. All right, we did get asked this, and maybe I'll start with this. Where are we going with pick 99? What would Eric Crocker prioritize? All right, one, what can I hit on? Like, is there a legit well-rounded receiver? You can find receivers second round, third round that come in and are just super, super productive. The receiver is probably the now, typically, but not in the 49ers offense because one, it's likely going to be a fourth or fifth option. Two, Kyle Shanahan is extremely difficult and hard on young receivers, and you got to come in and you got to be that guy, and it's just hard. It's just hard. So typically receiver, but receiver, tight end, and another one that where I think the want from the 49er fans meets the need of the 49ers is safety, because you got the Gibson, Tayshaun Gibson, and then I mean he's on a 1 year deal right now. So outside of that, there's some special team guys, but not any guys where it's like, hey, we actually really want to play this guy. But with safety, you can actually you can get really good value at the safety position in the third round. So what positions? And I see my guy Joe say BPA. All right, BPA. Yes, BPA out of certain positions. So I would love to see 49ers go safety. I would love to see the 49ers go tight end. I would love to see the 49ers. Obviously, I said receiver, but I would prioritize the other ones over receiver. Those positions. I would love to see the 49ers go interior defensive line. Everything else would be more of like legit depth. Legit depth. And that's where the 49ers are. You got a loaded roster. A lot of it is depth. But some of these other guys, like, although it is a depth piece, can you still be on the field with that depth? And I think interior defensive line, linebacker, and tight end for sure. Because I think tight end, like two tight end sets, that's something the 49ers really do. All right. So it's interesting. Some positions that I would probably miss out, or guys I would miss out on, probably receivers early on. I ideally would not want to take a receiver in the top 10 for the reasons I mentioned before. All right. So I just think between picks 18 and 45, there are so many talented receivers that are going to go in those picks. I would just prioritize, especially top 10. Like, give me the positions that's really hard to hit on later. Give me the edge rusher. Give me the offensive tackle. Obviously, give me the quarterback. Give me. I might start leaning corner, but I'll probably start leaning corner in that range. But give me the positions that are definitely harder to hit on later in the top 10. Corner, I'm still kind of, I don't know. But edge rusher, for sure. Offensive tackle, for sure. Quarterback, for sure. Running back, like everybody talking about Bijan Robinson, man. Because here's the issue with running backs in like a Bijan Robinson. He's tight. Don't get me wrong. And any of these guys that I might pass on, like I probably would have passed on Devontae Smith and Jamar Chase. My bad. My bad. And I might be wrong. Waddle too. I would have missed on all those guys. All right. But I would have, yes, I would have missed, but I would have drafted something else. I would have drafted an edge. I would have drafted offensive line. I would have drafted those guys just harder to hit on. Now it is harder to hit on a 1,500-yard receiver. You know what I'm saying? And Devontae Smith right now was he a 1,200, 1,300-yard receiver. Waddle had a million catches. Jamar Chase, we've seen what he's done. I probably miss on those guys because give me the edge, give me the offensive tackle, give me the quarterback. That's what I'm prioritizing top half of that. And maybe if you're saying he's a Micah Parsons, give me the freakish linebacker. But man, I see people they're drafting these positions top 10, and it's like, man, I ain't doing that no more. I've seen enough drafts, So it's like, all right, here. Say the Bengals, and let's take away the Jamar Chase thing. All right, but would you rather have Micah Parsons and T. Higgins or Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? What would y'all rather have? Micah Parsons, T. Higgins, or Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? What would you rather have? And that's and depending on how you know what I'm saying, you vote for that. That would be like kind of the way I'm thinking about this. Now, I guess some of this is kind of pointless because the 49ers ain't got a chance at none of them guys because they ain't picking number in the top 10. Everybody's saying Jamar Chase. That's interesting. There we go. Okay, we got some Micah's and T's, Micah and T. Like I would go get me that freakish linebacker that everybody got to account for. Like Micah Parsons on defense, man, he is a difference maker. He is a difference maker. So I see the Micah, you know what I'm saying, the Micah, Micah and T. There we go. The 49ers, remember, we played against Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. We did not. I mean, the offense wasn't great, right? Why? It's because we got to keep accounting for Michael Parsons. So on the stat sheet, you might not notice any. Did he even play? Did he even do this? You look at the stat sheet, you might not see anything crazy. But I tell you what, as some 49er players, if they felt that impact from Michael Parsons, he's everywhere, man. And you gotta play away from him. You gotta scheme away from him. You can kind of run at him. But man, when it comes to that, like pass blocking, I don't watch him wreck games. Wreck games. I mean, just wreck them. I watch a lot of Cowboy fan games. My big brother's a Dallas Cowboy fan, so I always want to talk trash. Man, that dude be Michael Parsons be wrecking games. I know we watch Nick Bosa and how Nick Bosa wrecks games. Parsons, it's something similar. It's something similar. Yeah. Let's see. Somebody asked, like, who would I like? All right. So let's talk about Illinois safety. He's changing his name. We talked about him last night, Locked On 49ers. Make sure you guys listen to Locked On 49ers. Also on YouTube. You can find that. Hit the like button, subscribe button, and all that good stuff. We come at you 5 days a week. But we talked about the Illinois safety, Quan Martin. And his first name is something else, but he's going by Quan Martin now. All right. Number 21. And what he is. Now, if there's anybody that I would trade up for in the third round, because the 49ers do have a bunch of picks, and I don't think they're going to use all them picks. All right. But Quan Martin is someone that's very intriguing to me. Because even if you have Tyshawn Gibson, even if you have Talanoa Hufanga, he is his own kind of like unique player and skill set. And he reminds me of, and he's number 21. He's number 21 on Illinois. All right, they've had a ton of really good safeties over the last couple of years. All right, but Martin reminds me of like poor man's Minka Fitzpatrick. Minka Fitzpatrick, when the 49ers drafted Mike McGlinchey with the ninth pick, whatever pick the 49ers had, in the 2018, Yeah, 2018. With the ninth pick in the 2018 NFL draft, San Francisco 49ers select They drafted Minka Fitzpatrick, Mike McGlinchey. God damn. Okay, so they fooled me. All right, I wanted Minka, right? And Minka in college played what they call the star position. He's a guy that's in the nickel spot, but he's listed as a safety, and he does all these different things, and he's versatile, and he can cover, and he's running with slot fades and driving out routes, but then you can blitz him, and he's good for the run. So Minka was everything, right? Martin is the poor man's version of Minka. So he's not as impactful as Minka in college. We're talking about as prospects. What Martin's going to be at the NFL level, I do not know. All right, but as a prospect, like it was no doubt that to me, Minka, like this is a top 10 player. And sometimes you can get pushed out of there when there's a lot of quarterbacks. And I want to say that was the draft where there was a lot of there was that there was quarterbacks that kept getting drafted. So that was the Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Josh Allen. Those guys all went like top 10. So that's gonna push down a guy like Minka. And I just thought like 49ers, what are you? There were also a couple of offensive linemen where it's just like Quentin Nelson, amazing. I'd probably, guard, but Quentin Nelson, amazing. I ain't taking Mike McGlinchey over Minka Fitzpatrick. I'm just not. It's just not. Let me keep Trent Brown. Hey, y'all can have New England. Y'all can keep that third. Y'all can keep that third. Let me keep Trent Brown because I want Minka. All right. Now maybe a 49ers run game wouldn't be as good with Trent Brown or whatever. I don't know. And I'd say right now, it felt kind of, I don't know. Did they make the right decision? Was that a good trade for the 49ers? Was that a good trade? We got my guy Jesse in the chat. And Jesse, hey, you want to come on, man? Let me know. I'll send the DM to you. I'll send the link to you. All right. But he says same role as Ramsey and Petrie, right? So those are essentially star positions, right? Where they are safeties, but in college they kind of play this nickel, kind of everything type of position. And that's essentially what Martin is. Where at the NFL level, he might do more too high, single high type stuff, but just having the man coverage versatility, I love it. Jimmy Ward did a lot of that for the 49ers. When it came to all right, third down and 6, where's Jimmy Ward? You know where the hell Jimmy Ward is. He's playing man on somebody. He's playing man on somebody. And I think that's what Martin is as well. So a guy that definitely can do some too high, single high stuff. I haven't seen a whole lot of it on film. I know he's listed as a safety, but it's just nickel. Now, how is he in the run game? That's something I still have to try to figure out. I got to figure out exactly what he is in the run game. But as far as just ability, versatility, like that's the one guy where I trade up for this motherfucker. I would trade up for him. So good skill set, good playmaking ability. I did post some clips of him on Twitter or a clip where you look, everybody posts these clips of like the perfect. Oh, this was great. This was, and it's like, man, NFL is hella hard. Like the NFL is hard. More times than not. No, I don't want to say more times than not because the great, like they string together just a lot of really good plays. But the whatever you're thinking ideally it should be from a technical standpoint and a coverage standpoint, a lot of times that's just not going to be the case. You got to fight for your life. All right, you got to fight. And when I watched Martin, he got beat off the line of scrimmage. He ain't panic, right? I always talk to my guys about when you get beat off the line of scrimmage, how your time clock gets sped up, right? Your time clock gets sped up. A lot of your technique goes out the window. That's when you panic. You end up running into a guy, getting a pass interference, especially on the underthrown ball. How many times have we seen that? How many times have we seen a DB kind of get beat, then he's chasing, run after a guy, and then the ball is underthrown, and you see the safety or the receiver turn, jump, and then the corner is like, and just runs it, right? Just runs into the receiver, and then the receiver, they throw the flag. I'm like, man, how you gonna bail him out for that? Well, I'm watching Martin. He does a terrific job where he was, quote unquote, beat off the line of scrimmage. But what he did, man, he didn't panic. He didn't panic. He said, you know what? I'm going to work to get to that hip. He worked to get to that hip. As soon as he got to that hip, turned his head around. Boom. Turn her head around just like that. It was like, boom. And what do you know? there's a damn football right there. And he picks it off. And that was an extremely impressive play because it wasn't perfect at the line of scrimmage, but I got to see how a guy works in chaos, right? How does he work in chaos? Man, that was pretty sweet. That's a guy I would trade up for. That is a guy I would trade up for. So enough of me. Would love to hear from y'all. So I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Again, if you haven't already, man, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We do have the audio version of this podcast as well. Y'all go ahead, come on live right now. I also was talking to my guy Jesse. I think what I'm gonna do is because I love draft content, but it's not the same, right? I got the 49ers page right here. I got this the podcast version of it, which I think for the podcast version, I might still post on the same feed. But as far as like for the 49ers stuff, I'm gonna keep things separate. So I got this YouTube channel. I think I'm gonna create another YouTube channel just for just to talk about prospects. I love this. First of all, that's essentially what this was supposed to be. So this channel, and I've probably did the unlisted thing or whatever, so you can't see the videos. But my first videos on this channel, outside of like my workout videos back in the day, hell, I actually got signed off for one of the videos that's on here. All right, but to the New York Jets, I got a bunch of NFL workouts. But anyways, uh, when I first started doing content creating on here, my first videos were like about draft prospects. And then you know where I messed up? Well, I don't want to say messed up because I built this beautiful community with y'all, or y'all have helped me build this beautiful community. But I started talking about 49er stuff on here. And then it's just like, the 49er fans like just came in drones and it was over from there. So ever since then, it was like, well, I can't do draft content on here. Like that's not what y'all want to see. You guys are subscribed to me because you guys want to hear 49ers talk. All right. You want the Niner talk. So that's what we're gonna do. But I will have a different channel where it's purely just draft content. And kind of like again, what my initial thing was, even before I had heard about QB school, but a lot like QB school, where it's quarterback center. And I think that's why it's grown so much. I'm about to have a wide receiver, defensive back center page. I think that's gonna be really fun. I think that's gonna be pretty fun. All right, we have a request from Bang Bang 49 Gang. All right, he says, tell these mud effers, don't bring up trading Trey Lance. We talking draft picks that we already have. All right, so we got some guys backstage right now. Y'all heard that. We're not talking Trey Lance, trading him. We're not talking about Brock Purdy with his broke elbow. We ain't talking about none of that. What we talking about today, what should the 49ers do with their third round picks? And up first, we have my main man, Papa Dragon. Papa Dragon, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Oh man, I'm blessed. Lakers up 2-1. Got game 4 tonight at home. You feel me? At the what's it called? The crypto center now.
Right,
I got a good workout in. I started working on doing a muscle up. So, we did it in progressions. It was part of the workout today. I have never
right,
done muscle up. I just didn't know how to do it. So I always just do like, oh, I'm just gonna do pull-ups. But today I said, I'm gonna get a muscle up. I am gonna get a muscle up. So I worked a different scale of it during the workout. Then after the workout, I worked on the shorter bar, boom, got a muscle up. Let's go. Now I went to the longer bar where now I'm hanging a little more difficult. Almost got it. I ain't get it, but I'm gonna get it though, man. We're gonna
right.
keep working on it. But so, anyways, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good, man. You are an impressive young man. What time did you get started this morning?
5 a.m.
That's my man. It's the time my
Okay.
kids get up every morning at 5. They get going. I get them going.
I mean, you get so much more done in the day.
Yeah, yeah,
Now
yeah,
it's
yeah.
tough though when you got like I live in the central time zone,
Right,
so I'm down here in the south, and the Lakers don't come on probably until like 9 p.m. So then now I'm
yeah.
gonna be up late. Then I gotta wake up, so I'm gonna lose a little sleep, but I'm gonna be all right. I will be all right. All right, but yeah, you gotta start the
Same,
day
same
early.
for me. Same for me in Nashville. Um, Overall, I think this is going to be very unpredictable draft, but the 49ers have been very unpredictable. Again, I agree with you 100%. I remember the story where Joe Staley was going to announce his retirement. The first person he told was Buckner. He said, "You the man now. You the leader of the clubhouse now." And he's like, "Dog, I just got traded." He's like, "What?"
He said, I'm not gonna be here.
Gonna be here, dog. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, if they can trade Buckner, obviously they can trade anybody. Do I agree with some of the trade talk? No, not at all. But I'm not the 49ers. I try to think like the 49ers.
right.
And if anything that they've done so far this year is that they have doubled down on their philosophy that basically I want a top five defense and a Shanahan offense. That's what they've doubled down on. So I totally see them, uh, you know, this draft leading towards the top defensive players that are available at that time. Pass rushers are very deep. You know, we lost Ebukon, we lost Amenahu. Um, Ken Law is on his last year. Both of our defensive tackles are in their 30s. So I believe that whoever they get, if they stay at the third round, it's going to be defensive player. If they trade up, I believe it's going to be for a defensive player, mostly defensive line, because they have a shot on this team that's pretty deep overall as far as like most of the starting spots are taken up. But they have the opportunity right now to say to themselves, let's rebuild up our depth on that defensive line. So I totally see them doing that. I know people are going to hate that, but that's the fact. I think a running back is in play because I think Shanahan's had a taste of Christian McCaffrey, a true three down back. And he's the kind of player that I agree with you like 100% on what your draft philosophy is. 100%.
Yeah, like
Uh,
I'm not drafting Bijan Robinson. I'm not drafting Saquon Barkley. And more times than not, and think about it, right? Very rarely do teams even want to pay running backs that second contract? A lot of times they
no,
don't.
no,
So it's
no,
like
no.
you spend all that money,
Mhm.
you draft their running back.
Right,
When you're drafting them, especially top 10 or Saquon Barkley, you're giving them
right,
30 million guaranteed, right?
right,
All he does is tear multiple ACLs and he gets hurt, and it's like now they're trying to figure out what the heck do we do with Saquon? Do we pick up his 5th year option because he had a really good year last season? And I just don't think the value is quite there. Give me the second round back, give me the third round back, and I'll ride
right.
those guys till the wheels fall off. And then, so yeah, I'm not high on drafting running backs that high. Just not.
I also think that there's exceptions to the rules as well. I think that running backs like Marshall Falk, Joseph Adai, Christian McCaffrey, a true three down threat, a running back that also run all the receiving routes. I think those guys I would make an exception for because that's hard to game plan for. But obviously, it's always what can you. The more you can do, the better off you are, kind of a thing.
Right.
So, but again, every team has their own draft board. And again, I thought that the 49ers, coming off a number one defense, I did not see the Hargrave move coming at all. So I was really shocked by that. Um, and but it just reinforced the overall concept. Shanahan offense, top five defense. So they just doubled down on it. Since they doubled down on it, they don't know what Drake is right now. They definitely want to find somebody who can bend and rip around that corner on third down. If you can get a guy like that in the third round, and this draft is very deep in pass rushers, I would not be surprised if they drafted a pass rusher in the first. Now, what would I do? I would protect the quarterback. Is what I would do. Because right now, at this particular point, teams have had 7 years to prepare for the wide zone running game. They've always struggled against five line type of defenses or 3-4s. So me personally, I'm looking to try to plan for the future. I'm looking for a swing tackle, somebody can play both the left and the right side, and then hopefully compete at the left side later on. But that's my thought process. My thought process is not the 49ers thought process. I don't think they go with a cornerback because we have cornerbacks. I think it's going to be defensive line. My preference would be offensive line. They will get a tight end this year, finally. I believe that they will get a tight end because it's very, very deep. I'm looking at that guy out of Michigan. I think his name is Stumacher or something like that. But I'm looking at him as probably a candidate that could get drafted. But yeah, don't be surprised, folks. Defensive linemen, maybe even two D linemen in the third round if they stay there. If they trade and move up, which to me is unlikely because it doesn't make sense to trade Ayuk because there's nothing really out there to replace Ayuk's ability with. They have developed Ayuk to the point now where he is a multi-threat receiver, so he can block down the field now. He runs great routes. He's open all the time. If he had a better quarterback, his numbers would be even crazier, I think. I think that the overall emphasis of our quarterback room right now has been, what's the word I'm looking for? I think our quarterback room is over evaluated overall. If I'm looking at Trey Lance, I'm
Oh, we
looking at
don't want to talk about quarterbacks though, because I don't want you
I'm
open up the
well
can of
well
worms.
we're talking draft, are we not?
Okay, we are talking draft though.
So we're talking draft. And I'm thinking that me personally, I'm saying that my quarterback room is over evaluated, right? Or overvalued. What I'm saying is, okay, I'm going along the 49ers train of thought here. I'm saying to myself, we got to improve the defense. That we're going to make it with what we got on offense. That we've done enough on offense with Shanahan's system to be fine. That I can win with any quarterback. Okay, whether I decide to run him up the middle 20 times or whether or not I throw a bunch of short passes, I can make any quarterback work. Okay, that is the frame of thought because I have Shanahan. So I don't think there'll be a quarterback drafted. Is what I'm saying. Is what I'm getting at. And even if there was a quarterback drafted, there's no one's going to come in here and magically be what Purdy was last year. And if you think about it, although Purdy did very, very well, I mean, they were on a 4-game win streak with Jimmy G at the time that Jimmy G got hurt. You see what I'm saying? It's not to say that Jimmy wouldn't have done the same thing, right? Or even Trey Lance if he didn't get hurt. So a lot of their processes and theories are sound, but here's the flaws. And these are the main flaws that they have because they want to win on defense. So if you look in the future, obviously, if you can trade Buckner, you can trade anybody. That means you could trade Bosa, you could trade Ayuk, you could trade anyone, right? Along that philosophy, right? So, what I'm saying is why I believe the process is flawed and why they're so dominant until they get to the playoffs is because once you get to the playoffs, you're playing better defenses, you're playing better coaches. And they throw some stuff. Like the stuff that Andy Reid did. Andy Reid won that Super Bowl as far as I'm concerned with his game planning. Some of the stuff he did was so simple. The whole the half fake motion thing and run out and you wide open thing. He did on both.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Papa Dragon.
So
Oh, we
hopefully
got you
they'll
back.
improve what they're going to do. But ultimately, I still think that the process is flawed because if you pay Bosa $35 million a year and he gets to the Super Bowl, they're just going to hold him. And are they going to call those holds? No. Hargraves had 0 sacks in the Super Bowl. That's what I'm saying. It's like in a passing league, I truly believe you have to be able to protect and you have to be able to pass. And there is nothing late in the rounds that's going to help this offensive line at this point. That's just my honest opinion. Unless you get lucky. Yeah, there's a possibility. I would still
Right.
draft the offensive lineman, right? There's a guy out of Oklahoma I really like. Long arms, tall, 6'5". I think his name is Wayne.
Yeah,
Wayne.
Wanye Morris.
Yeah, he's my draft crush. I would draft him. But again, are they going to package some picks and move up? I don't know. I expect them to fill out the defensive line in this draft. Is where I think the emphasis will be. They're going to be defensive line and tight end. That's what they're probably going to do.
All
Based on what
right.
I see.
Papa Dragon, good stuff, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's my guy. Shout out to Papa Dragon coming on, dropping some knowledge. I did see, I want to say my guy Jesse put something in the chat and he said, here we go. Fun fact, because I made a comment about not drafting running backs, to top 10. I really wouldn't even want to draft them first round for real. Maybe late first round. But fun fact, outside of QB, RB has been drafted first overall more than any other position group. And I'll say why. Back in the day, like that was the thing to do. You gotta remember, man. I mean, I remember watching the draft and Cadillac Williams and Ronnie Brown, both coming out of Auburn, were both drafted top 5. Like I think one went number 3, one went number 5, or something like that. Very, very rarely do you see anything like that happening now. Even prior to that, obviously, like in the golden ages of football, they just prioritize one back running the rock. and everybody in that back you had, like he was a bell cow. And the whole game plan was like predicated around the running game. I formation, we're just gonna hand the ball off, tote the rock, and you feel like guys play forever. Well, now it's turned into more of a pass happy league. I don't know if guys are just getting hit harder, but guys' bodies are breaking down a lot more to where a lot of the long careers and some guys even broke down back then. She was Barry Sanders retired because it was just like, I'm done, I'm done. So yeah, there were a lot of guys that were just these legit bell cows, and now it feels like the NFL is kind of, I don't know, where they're going away from it, and guys, I don't know, their health. It seems like it's kind of declining a lot faster. So the value of the running back has definitely changed a whole lot. Here we go. Coming up next. All right, we got TC and then we got Gammon. All right, then we'll get up out of here. Appreciate everybody that's in here right now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. But first, we got TC coming on. TC, good morning. How you doing? Oh, TC is on mute.
Man, what's
Croc,
up with my brother, man? My brother Croc, what's up?
oh man, I'm chilling, man. How you doing?
Yeah, you know it's good, bro. Just dialing in. Kind of upset at that game yesterday, man. But it's tied 2-2. We knew it was gonna go 7 games, man. I'm a Kings fan.
Okay, it was a good game. I feel like the Kings down the stretch. And obviously they got back into it because Curry started doing some weird stuff. He called the timeout, and then he
Yeah,
just going to the basket with like 9 seconds left on the clock, 10 seconds. I was like, "What's Curry doing?"
yeah,
So yeah, that was a little weird. Some of the things Curry did down the stretch, but prior to that, man, I thought the Kings they started to show their youth a little bit. They were forcing up shots, jacking up shots.
yeah,
The ball movement wasn't there. Like so, for like the last 2 minutes, or even I want to say really kind of like the last 5 minutes, the Kings had a lot of very very weird.
yeah. But it'll be all right. It'll go 7, bro. I still got the Kings in 7, so I'm not even tripping. It's all good. But I don't know if you was talking. I don't know if you had told Papa Drake. I don't know if you was talking quarterbacks, bro. I just want to keep it simple. I know we talking about the draft, but just how do you feel, Crockett? Just be truthful with me, bro. Like how I feel with the whole Trey Lance situation. I'm like, if John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan at these meetings or whenever the next time Kyle gets interviewed, if they're not coming out saying, look, check it out, man. Brock is on ice. Trey is our guy, and he's going to be starting until he can't show us. And this is our guy, and we back him up. If I'm Lance's agent, or if I'm Lance, if I don't hear that, bro, then I'm like, you know what? Get me out of here. I don't know if he's already saying that, but I'm up to a point. I'm like, get Lance out of here now, bro, because I'm tired of the quarterback circus. You know, I call and I talk to you about that all the time about the circus, bro. And I truly believe that we botched this situation when we drafted Lance and we didn't start him from day one and got rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. Not the hell with the last ride, winning Super Bowl, winning team. We haven't won nothing, bro. I'm tired of hearing that. I'm tired of hearing Super Bowl ready, Super Bowl ready. We need a quarter. I'm tired of hearing all that, bro, because the coach has no idea what he's doing at the quarterback situation. Until we can get that done, bro, we won't win nothing. I'm tired of hearing about it. We have old players on the team. We don't know when Trent Williams leaving. Kittle's ready to go to WWE. We can't keep it healthy. We can't keep a healthy running back. Like, come on, bro. We're not as deep as everybody think we are, and we're not like this. Oh, Super Bowl ready roster, and everybody's getting complacent on the team, saying, "Oh, we're fine with just losing, or we're fine with the NFC Championship game." And I'm tired of all that. And then you're not backing up this quarterback, this kid. You drafted him into this circus. I'm just tired of that situation, bro. And if I'm Lance, I'm like, hey, get me out of here. I'm tired of it.
All right, so TC first, there's some people in the chat. I think they said that your volume is really loud. So I don't know. I have my volume down low on my computer, so I can't really tell. I'll be able to tell when I go to kind of cut it up and turn it into a podcast.
Sorry.
I get your frustrations though, as it pertains to kind of the quarterback position, but we have to blame the guys. And TC hopped out of there. We got to blame. And again, we're trying not to talk about the quarterback position, but I know we want to kill the front office. I have to blame kind of the players, just in the sense that like you're hurt. So every quarterback that kept getting hurt opened up an opportunity for another guy that continued to kind of create this chaos that the 49ers are going through right now. So yeah, it's unfortunate the way that it's played out. And I know, we want answers. They feel like it's Brock. That's the guy that they have kind of hitched their wagon to. but he's hurt too right now. So it's just the quarterbacks continuing to get hurt. Like that's why these conversations keep happening every offseason. So I'll leave it at that. We got my guy Gammon coming on. Gammon, good morning. How you doing?
Doing well, Croc. How about yourself? How was that? How was the bowling? Where'd you end up with your score?
So I did win, which I knew I was going to beat my wife in bowling. First of all, we were out in Louisville, and some people were like, "Oh, go to 4th Street." Some people were like, "Oh, don't go there; it's very touristy." Like, motherfucker, we are tourists. We're not from here. You know what I'm saying? So it was fun. It was right down by our hotel, and yeah, 4th Street was cool, man. We went to Guy Fieri's restaurant.
Okay.
If
How's
I
that?
if I had to rank Guy Fieri's restaurant, I'd say you get what you pay for. And then and the prices weren't expensive. So I was expecting like, oh, I'm gonna spend $150, $200 at Guy Fieri's restaurant. And we spent like 40 or 30 on the food. And then it was like 35 on the food, then however much on the drinks.
Right.
So
That's not bad.
yeah. So but you pay for like, so it was just like very regular. I was expecting like, like I got some ribs, we had some baked beans, we had some, and it was just like, it's cool. It's cool.
Did Tony wants to know, did you get the trash can nachos?
I did not get the trash can nachos. Maybe I should have, and I'd have a different opinion of it. But we did go bowling. We went bowling after that. I won. I won by 1 point the first one. The second one I won by a little bit more, but I didn't do very well. I haven't bowled in a year. Matter of fact, the last time I bowled was probably my wife and I's first date, which was over like 10 years ago. So that might have been the last time I actually went bowling. So it's been a long time. I didn't do as well as I would have liked, but I did win though. So a win is a win. You feel me?
A win is a win. A win is a win. Absolutely. I had a question. So I think it was like one of your and I don't think I understood it very well, but it was one of your retweets. But I think it had to do with the ASU defensive backs using the bags to they're using it staying square in press coverage. And in here you were saying notice the difference between rep 1, rep 2. Rep 1 showed the defensive back proper hand at the hip, was open, ready to run. Rep 2, the DB shot his outside hand and locked out his hip. And I was just kind of like, if you could, because I was reading it, but I don't think I completely kind of understood. And which one was the better rep, the rep 1 or rep 2?
All right, here we go. So I'm actually clicking on it right now, and I'm gonna bring it up. So for those of you who are watching on the YouTube channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You'll be able to see me kind of break this down, and it should be pretty slow. So, all right, so here we go. So this is what we are talking about. All right.
Okay.
So this is rep 1. You watch the defensive back. First of all, he does a really good job of feet before hands. So he works his feet. And now when I talked about that hip being open, look, so he's able to stab his hand, and it might be blurry, I don't know, but he's able to stab his hand. He got the hand on the shoulder, right? And he has this hip right here is essentially open. So now he's in a position to be able to turn and run. That's ideally where you want to be. So again, you shoot your inside hand, nice stab. He got on that shoulder. This hip here, open. This is ideally what you want. Now, I talked about it earlier. Every rep won't be perfect, but the good thing about social media, I can just point out what is good and what's not good. And that's not to say that something is more or less difficult, but this was essentially a good rep. Good job staying square. Stay square. Shot his outside hand. That hip is open. Now he's ready to run. Now you look at the next guy, all right, and he does a good job right here. I mean, this is beautiful. He's square, step replacing. This is good. All right, now where he went wrong is here, and he shot the outside hand. So you could see once he shot his outside hand, then now this hip is closed. Feel me? So this is closed. So now we call this you're locking your hip. He locked his hip. So he shot his outside hand on the receiver with an outside release, but he doing it from more of an inside leverage, and that locks that hip. So now he's going to have to take another couple steps to unlock this hip. So you'll see right now, like there's going to be a hop, and then boom. now that hip is unlocked. Now it won't hurt you as much in a half speed drill, but full speed, that receiver's out of there. And then you turn into like being in more of a panic mode. All right. So I hope that made sense.
It did, and so like here for rep 1, you're saying he need to use his left arm, and then for rep 2, the defensive back should have been using his right arm.
Correct.
What's now? He's got to you have to really get that punch in, because otherwise, then that wide receiver technically could cut back on the inside, but with how much time really quarterbacks have to throw, that's not really too much of a concern. But you're saying you got to punch it and then keep him off to the right. I thought that was pretty good. And then you also too, you made another mention about Clark Phillips, I believe.
Yeah.
Where do you see him going in the draft?
So I say this, and it's tough because obviously I watch a lot of defensive backs. I watch a lot of these, you know, corners, and I think I view the corner position a little different, and it's not really to me so much about the splash plays. It's about what can be more consistent at the cornerback position. And watching Phillips, I think he's a good corner. I don't see a guy that's just great at any one thing, but I think he's very well rounded. So, he's a guy with, second round. I'd say that's more ideal, especially for a guy who he's not the biggest of guys, right? And I don't know how fast he is, but I know on film he doesn't look like a blazer, and you don't have to be a blazer, but obviously it helps just being able to run really fast. So he feels more like a mid-second round guy, in my opinion. I like him being able to play off. I think he triggers very fast. He can play press and run vertically with receivers. So again, nothing from a height, weight, speed popped, but just from an overall skill set and what he brings to a team, feels like a mid-second round pick, a la Asante Samuel Jr.
And I want to get your opinion on, because I honestly, I don't know, and I don't know how much of this you've looked at, but the safety position, because we have been talking about best player available, which in a weird way, round 3 would almost seem like best player available could be a running back. But as far as like a safety, though, we could really use a safety behind Gibson. So 2 questions: who do you like there in the 3rd round, late 3rd round, early 4th round at the safety position? Number 1. Number 2, how important is it that a free safety, has the ability to play nickel?
So I think in today's day and age, because of how much teams are spreading it out and throwing the ball, being able to play nickel, all it means is that you can cover, right? It's like I trust this guy to play well in coverage. So for me, if I'm building out a team, a defense, I would prioritize that from at least one of my safeties. So maybe like Talanoa Hufanga, I won't ask him to play a whole lot of man. Now the tough thing is sometimes you will get caught in positions where you're going to have to play man. And we saw him playing man against the Las Vegas Raiders, and what it looked like trying to guard Darren Waller, and Waller didn't even really give him a whole lot. I think he went kind of like out and up, and or kind of ran like this, like up, like it was kind of an out and up or whatever it was. And Hufanga, I don't know if it was more of an inability to cover or because he had poor eyes looking in the backfield on a run action. So that could have been more where he kind of got lost there. But I want all my guys to be able to cover. So I would look more towards, again, and I like the 2 safeties from Illinois. Those are 2 guys. I just watched them. So Martin and Brown, I don't think that they were, and maybe Martin could do it more than Brown. Are they the single high? I can, I'm sideline to sideline. I don't even know if that's what 49ers are asking their DBs, their safeties to do now. They play a lot of cover 2, a lot of quarters. What quarters are going to have to match guys vertically. There's a play where Hufanga forced an interception to Gibson where he was out in space. First of all, this is probably his best play of the year. And it's not going to get the recognition that it deserves. But I just know how difficult it is. Talanoa Hufanga was playing essentially man to man with zero help on any outbreaking or vertical route or any in breaking or post or any or slant or whatever or quick out. He essentially had zero help,
Mhm.
and he's guarding Tyler Lockett in the slot. So Darren Waller probably a better matchup because he's just bigger, So like those bigger guys, just kind of a little bit easier to match and mirror their movement skills. But Tyler Lockett, a quicker, shiftier, jitterbug
Yeah.
of a receiver. Those guys are hard to cover in space. And Hufanga not only covered him in space, but undercut the route. Now the ball went through his hands, and then Gibson ended up picking the ball off. But that was just such an amazing rep. So there are a lot of people that say, man, he just can't cover. I think he can. Is that the biggest strength of his? I would say maybe not. So can I have a Hufanga and then still have a Martin and a Brown? That would be more ideal for me. And I think that's kind of where the 49ers were going when you have Jimmy Ward, Gibson, and Hufanga, where Ward essentially is a safety, but can play the nickel, and obviously he went to nickel more full time. But having those three safeties where but give me one more coverage guy because I just believe so much in just being able to cover and the more that you could do, especially the more these teams start to spread things out and these tight ends are getting quicker and faster.
What do you think is when you're kind of looking at talent and you kind of brought this up and you're talking about D1 versus D1 AA and that sort of thing. And you said there's still even a huge disparity or talent gap between the SEC and everybody else. For someone like me who's going to be watching predominantly more like Pac-12, kind of like football, what do you see as like kind of a big difference between defensive backs in the Pac-12 versus defensive backs in the SEC, or if you even see that big of a difference?
I would say just from my experience, and I can't think off the top of my head how many SEC guys I played with. Definitely when I was with the Jets while I was there, they did have D Milliner who obviously played corner at Alabama. But the corners and receivers probably have the smallest gap from a talent perspective from each level. So where you feel the biggest impact, especially like from like SEC to other conferences, is going to be typically the interior, the offensive line, defensive line.
Okay.
The defensive line are just bigger, faster, more athletic. The offensive line, big, lean, and just super powerful, right? But outside of that, if we're just talking receivers and DBs, the SEC, they might have guys that are just faster, but just from my experience, just covering guys, it's been more, it's just if you're good, you're good. And I think that's been the smallest gap. So I mean, I could take a D2 receiver and plug him into the SEC and like he can play. It's not, Now some of them, I think when we see that probably, and maybe there's some testing numbers that back that up, just might be more just naturally physically gifted. But we all know from a receiver and DB standpoint, just being the best athlete doesn't make you good. So I'd say receiver DBs is the smallest gap. Offensive line, defensive line, I think that's where the bigger gap is from SEC to really everyone else in the country.
Got it. Okay, that was perfect. Because a question I've always asked myself. So it really does kind of start with the O line and the D line. Looking at kind of like the
like there ain't no Javon Kin. Like you typically don't see a Javon Kinlaw. Now again, I know he has his knee issues and stuff like that. I think that's what's kind of slowed him down. But let's say 100% healthy Javon Kinlaw. You typically don't see that in the Pac-12. Now you might see a Kayvon Thibodeau, right, in the Pac-12, but
or DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, but that
or
hasn't been.
DeForest Buckner,
But that hasn't been like that for
Eric
predominantly.
Armstead, who are like, really tall, lean guys, but like that nasty 6'5", 340 power, athletic, light on his feet. Those guys are kind of exclusively in the SEC.
Absolutely. And because I don't really have like a whole lot to say. I just hope everybody hits the like and subscribe button. I think everybody here would absolutely follow you and support you if you did cover wide receivers and defensive backs. I don't think you have to do it on necessarily on another channel, But if you did do it on this channel, I think what would be interesting, I think it would kind of nurture people into the process a little bit more, is if you did like smaller little clips, like little snippets where you maybe a minute and a half to like 5 minutes, because people's attention span is that long.
Right.
But kind of like what you did there with the ASU defensive backs, because I kind of got it, the breakdown, but it was so much more clear in with you explaining it and kind of breaking it down there like that. And if you had like little clips of little things like that, like what you're watching, what you're looking out for, and then it kind of brings us into the fold of players' names and that sort of thing, and getting, because honestly, I don't really know what I'm looking at, because when you're watching like football, it doesn't always give you that nice big, all 22 kind of film. So when we're kind of like watching it, they're kind of in a weird way kind of excluded once a play gets a certain depth. So I think honestly it'd be hugely valuable, just like the question I just asked about D1 or SEC Pac-12.
I think I could do something that is like a segment for y'all, but here's the issue. My guy Jesse said it very well when I was talking to him the other day, and he said where I would lose people is the people that would come to watch the draft content would be confused as to like, well, why does he only go live when he's talking to 49ers?
Okay.
And then with my 49er fans, like,
Yeah.
although we have a big subscriber base of 49er fans on here, how many of them are going to click the video? So it won't reach each individual video won't reach its max potential, and the rewatch value won't quite be there based on my subscribers. So that's why I have to do a different channel.
It would be two different niches. So one channel for one niche, one channel for another niche. And
Correct.
If anybody would know, it would definitely be Jesse. But other than that, Croc, that's really all I came on to kind of say. But I appreciate everything. And if you do make a second channel, would love it. And if anything else, would absolutely love to see more snippets and breakdowns, because I'm truly fascinated. Like I don't know what I'm watching or even what to watch for. So appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah. Yep. Sure. We'll do. But all right. Shout out to my guy, Mr. Gammon, and shout out to all of y'all, man. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now. Shout out to everybody that hit the like button. Shout out to the new people that watched and the subscribers. I hope we cover some good stuff with the 49ers, and maybe 49ers fans draft wants versus draft needs. All right, but that's going to do it for this episode of the Eric Crocker Show. I appreciate everybody that joined. Again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you like this show. We will be live, maybe not tomorrow, but for sure by Wednesday, we'll go live and really start to prep for the draft. I will be live on Bleacher Report. All right, so Bleacher Report, I'll be coming at you this week before the draft and after the draft. So make sure y'all tune into that, all right? But that's going to do it for this episode. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. And I hope everybody has a blessed and great day. Go out and get some sun. Till then, I'm out. Peace.